Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome back to the Mindwall podcast. This is, of course, the podcast where we talk about all the technology and innovation that is shaping the future of the mining industry, even the greater natural resources industry. And we take the time to speak with innovators or inventors and the investors that fund those innovations, and igniters that take the innovation to market and help mining companies to make it work, and then the implementers or the mining experts at mines who actually use the innovation as it goes. So welcome on board again, and we really appreciate your time. Thank you for listening in as always. Today, we're talking about learning the game of mining. And yes, I did call it a game, if you if you wanted, because we are talking a little bit about gamifying our approach to learning what mining does, but then also gamifying the actual operations and seeing what impact that has on mining itself. Our guest is an old friend as well as an old colleague, Paul Ehlers, and Paul is the CEO of DMS, or I'll let Paul explain what DMS does in a few more words. Welcome to the podcast, Paul.
Thank you very much for that introduction. You mentioned quite a lot of different people in there. I'm not sure where I fit in. I'm a miner, I am an inventor, I'm a founder, I'm a technology person, I'm a hands-on-the-ground type of person, but I just love mining.
Yes,
and I just love gaming, and the idea is to combine both of them. So about a little bit about me. So where do I start? Been in mining for what? It seems like forever, 25 years odd. Been there, done that, seen it all. And it really started when I started mining. It was that stage where everything was still analog. Everything was still on hard copy mining plans. And and I got started when it was really that move from 2D, from sort of that analog to digital, where you started working with 3D models, 3D concepts, more mature mining packages and planning packages. And my real niche has always been on the software side, trying to find ways that software can work on mining operations.
And you've got what's your technical background then?
I'm a mining surveyor by trade. So I'm a geoscientist. And quickly, interesting. So a lot of people ask me about the name DMS. What does it stand for? A lot of people say, is it digital mining solutions or digital mining services? It actually is for degrees, minutes, seconds. That's what the DMS stands for. And that's that's a link back to my survey heritage.
Yeah, you may know this. I don't know if we've discussed this before, but I also have a survey heritage. I started studying geodetical engineering, as they called it then, or land surveying at the University of Pretoria. But after 3 years, I decided, no, I'm also really more interested in creating business solutions than measuring things. And so I switched over to computer science. And so we have that kind of understanding of the spatial world, and understanding of the world as a process, and how software and solutions work with that in common. And I think that it goes a long way to explaining the kind of entrepreneurial mindset that you have. Why did you choose to take a leap from pure implementation and let's call it boots on the ground work at the mines into this new venture?
It's a good. My last proper mining operation that I joined was a Indian mining company, Vedanta, in the Northern Cape, and they started up a new operation, one of the largest lead deposits in the world. And I've always been fascinated with starting new operations. That's probably my mining niche, is starting something new, being on the ground, seeing it being built, seeing it growing. So I've always had that. I can't do the normal 9 to 5, the same thing, operation day in, day out. So I got to continuously learn. And while in my learning, I started teaching myself Python. I started teaching myself coding, different languages. And I came up with the idea of building something that doesn't exist, which is gaming and mining, using the gamification platform. Um, it really came about with my daughter providing some inspiration, where she played a lot of
Hmm.
Minecraft, and she was sitting next to my computer one day while I was doing a mine
Hmm.
design and asking me questions about why do you do this, what is a decline, where is the ore, and things like that.
Right.
Didn't think much of it, and then a couple of weeks later she came by and she said, um, I want to show you something. And she called me over to computer and she built her own virtual mine in Minecraft.
That is
She's got
incredible.
a decline that goes from the surface down to the ore body and all of that. So I thought, well, she knows a little bit more about mining by playing a game, so why can't we just do
Exactly.
exactly the same? And
Hmm.
that's where
Hmm.
the inspiration came from.
That's really an interesting story. And gamification, of course, in mining is not entirely new. But what you have done to, and I don't want to, go ahead too much, but what you have done to take gamification as a way of teaching or understanding the entire mining process is different than, for example, providing a gamification platform for drilling operators so that they can, I almost want to say, compete better or operate better. Um, so so this gamification platform. Tell us a little bit more about the business problem that you're trying to solve with this.
We originally started and said this is a cool idea. Unfortunately, there's no business problem with a cool idea. We tested our theories by talking to loads of professors,
Mm,
universities, and we found a real need for interactive training where there's no fear of failure. Historical training methods, mining software,
mm,
etc. It's very rigid in the approach and it's very rigid in the outcome.
mm,
Whereas gaming as an education tool, which is proven in other STEM, science, technology, education, is proven successful in terms of knowledge, the way that you
mm.
keep knowledge and the way that you see the knowledge. And we wanted to build something that can be interactive, but can also simulate real world operations. Um, you mentioned
Hmm.
that developing game for specific items.
Mm.
So you can have a game that you can drive a truck in a pit operation, and you can learn the controls, and that's also gamification of an operation.
Mm.
But that focuses on one small element of an entire mining value chain. We went out and we wanted to do something that covers the entire mining value chain.
Right.
One of the biggest problems that you find in mining operations is silos. So the
Mm.
geologists don't understand what the surveyors do. The surveyors don't
Mm.
understand what the mining engineers do. Mining engineers does not always understand what happens in the plant.
Mm.
So we decided to
Not
cover
that I
the
admit it,
entire.
but anyways.
I won't exactly. People won't admit it, but it does happen in reality. And we
And
thought,
the
what's
geologists don't understand anything. Oh, I'm gonna get myself into trouble here.
we are already in trouble. So I think people are going to stop watching right away. So thanks for watching. No, in all seriousness, so covering something that covers the entire mining value chain, it also
Mm,
just bridges that silo gaps, and that's the
mm.
problem. It's interactive, but it's also close to real world as well.
Right. And so who is the audience? Who gets to learn using the tool? And we're going to dive a little bit deeper into how the tool works and what it does. I should not call it a tool, how the solution works and what it does in a minute. But let's start with that. Did you aim it specifically at university students or at maybe people who work at big mining companies, or who's your audience?
We are not limiting an audience at this stage. The initial development was especially for education purposes, where we
Right.
can use the concept of easy to learn, hard to master in gaming. So anyone can pick up and play a game, and they
Mm,
can be successful at it because they play it the way they want to. But if
mm,
you want to be really successful, you want to learn something. So understanding the advanced simulation, understanding the financials, understanding how different equipment types interact with each other. So
right.
a first year student can benefit from it, but the fourth year student on a university can benefit from it as well, because now they can start going in depth into um, optimizing every part of his gaming through run through. So yes,
Right.
so education was the first start. The more and more that we've engaging with socials and getting the word out there about gaming. Mining companies have actually started coming back to us as well and said, look, we want to train our own people because our own people don't understand what we do for a living, how our own mind, the decision I make here, what's the effect that happens downstream. So we are not limiting at the moment on what our target audience is because it is limitless, I think.
Mm. And so you are trying to create this. I like what you say. Well, let me see if I remember it correctly. Easy to learn, hard to master. Was that what you said?
That's
Yeah, I like that a lot because it means that you can almost dive in as deeply as you want to, but you can start entering the pool at the shallow end.
exactly.
Right.
And
And but everyone enjoys it equally.
exactly. I can have my 10-year-old son play my mining game, and which he does. And he
Mm,
understands mining now, but he does not care for the plant simulation and the complex part of that. He knows
mm,
he does something and he gets a metal and he sells it, and he understands that if he does something, choose an equipment area, it goes a little bit faster than another equipment. Those are
mm,
basics that you can teach, and you can play it the way you want to.
mm. So, when we talk mining, of course, mining is not one thing. There are so many different mining methods and so many different, minerals and types of mines and so on. Um, how did you approach that? Do you provide like templates or did you pick the most popular one and start there?
The original proof of concept was based on what I know, which was
Hmm.
copper mining, hard rock, base metal mining. So that was our
All
original
right.
proof of concept.
Hmm.
We developed patented code for geology and for the grade distributions within those geology based on
Hmm.
copper. Since then, we have developed templates for uranium, for coal, for iron ore,
Hmm.
for copper, which is already there, for diamond. So we can now
Right.
adapt our code to
Hmm.
generate a random world based on a specific commodity. That means that your plant infrastructure gets adapted based on the commodity that you choose as well, for example.
Yes. All right. So you can literally do the whole mining value chain from exploration to final product, and you can do it for different kinds of minerals and different kinds of mines.
Yes.
Um, wow, that's really impressive. So let's talk about the product itself. We've said it's a gamified world, or I think you call it a mineral verse, or a
Mineral
mining
verse.
verse. Was it a mineral
Mineral
verse? There you
mineral
go.
verse is the term that we want to that we are marketing as our end-to-end platform
Right. So that's the
ecosystem.
virtual world that you enter when you play the game.
Yep.
Um, so tell us about the game proper then. What's it called and how does it work and so on. Just a little bit,
All right.
thumbnail sketch there.
Perfect. Again, I'm going back to the sort of the initial. I think it's interesting to understand where we started and where we're going with this.
Mm,
So we started with a normal Python code, and then we got limited by what is possibly possible graphic wise.
mm,
We then later on moved the game engine to Unity, which is an extremely powerful gaming engine, which means we
okay.
can have enhanced graphics. In simple terms, we give you a blank world with ore and geology, and we
Mm,
give you the tools to extract that. So you get to choose how do you want to explore what is there. We give you the tools for geophysical study or for surface exploration if there's something that's sitting on surface. So mimicking what you would see in geology, like looking for
mm,
outcrops, for example. We give you the tools to drill that,
mm,
to go and do actual exploration drilling. Do you decide where you want to drill the holes? Where if you interact ore, for example, you can continue drilling either side of it until you feel confident. We then teach you the basics of okay,
and,
now we
and
need
and
to
then it enriches your model as you go. And,
exactly.
I assume then it'll spend your money as you spend effort and so on.
And that's where the fun of gaming comes in. Is we give you a starting budget.
Right.
You need to go and decide within that budget how much you want to drill.
Mm,
And if you're happy with the amount you've drilled, you can go and estimate it, and it gives you a value, and you get a bit back into the game as funds, and you can
mm,
use those funds then to choose your infrastructure like plant, conveyor belt, stockpile positioning, crushers, what equipment types you want to use for
mm,
open pit. So we've got a library of equipment,
mm,
trucks and loaders, pit vipers and drill rigs for you to do your basic mining. Then it will start the process of selecting your blocks that you want to mine. You will send it to stockpiles and to waste stockpiles, and that will then in turn send it to crushers and plants, and then you will get your final material at the end. But decision making is about how do you want to mine it? Where do you want to start?
Right. Hmm. And you just talked about Pit Vipers and so on, which is of course a specific company's product. So you don't only use generic equipment types, right? You also have specific things that people can use in order to kind of uh, get them used to the kind of manufacturers out there and what the capabilities of those machines are and so on.
Yep.
Am I right?
Yes, correct. A lot of our recent discussions has been with OEMs to work on the licensing to get the equipment in game. It's the discussions has been very, very well received. We compare it to what Gran Turismo. Because I'm a gamer, so I want to bring this up. Gran Turismo in 1997 brought out their first game, and it basically created a subculture for the racing genre. It
Right.
created it brought new people, new understanding of cars. So different car types, GTRs or Mazdas or whatever the case might be, was ingrained into racing culture. I want to do the same for mining. So the way that you can do that is by applying the Gran Turismo model to a mining game where a player can pick and choose his equipment that he wants to mine with.
Right.
Yep.
So I can pick a Komatsu machine or an Epiroc machine or a Caterpillar or whatever it is that I want to test, and I can see how they perform, based on their, specifications from the factory.
Exactly.
Yeah. So do you? So just tell me a little bit more about the response from the OEMs, because having both been working in the mining software industry, there's always a healthy tension, I should say, you know, from OEMs between, and now I'm talking software OEMs as well as hardware, of course. A healthy tension between how much of my information is public domain so that people can know and understand what I've got, and how much of it is really proprietary to me, and I will discuss it with the customer that actually, signs a check. So, how is your approach to getting equipment information and making it public in a way that's very comparable being received?
Yeah. We are only using public domain information at this stage. We do not
Okay.
require any proprietary information behind the scenes. What we can get on public domain, that is what we use. We understand, and we use the very basics of let's say, for example, if I talk about a Caterpillar Trip 7, I know it's a 100-ton truck. It's simple. Everybody knows it capacity is 100 tons. So in our game, we'll put in a Caterpillar Trip 7, and it will be 100 tons, and that's the usage.
Right.
And that's almost to the level that we are doing at the moment. So we don't have the OEM saying that, well, this truck is performing a little bit better than the other one. We want to keep a level playing field.
Right.
And where the information and from OEM is, I can see that certain students prefer a truck, but it's not because it's more powerful or it's cheaper or it's more expensive. It really is about looking at the capacities, and that's more about what the game is about. It's not about putting up one OEM versus against another OEM.
Is that only for now, or do you envisage that later on OEMs will kind of work with you to bring more of the actual machine specifications and efficiencies and so on into the game?
I am currently in discussions with 3 major OEMs to bring their equipment into the game, which will open up more sharing of information that they are keen to share. It's going to be a lot of pleading from my side for companies to play nice, if you like, because there's a larger objective here at play as well. It is about providing a complete overhaul of what mining education system and learning is available. There's a bigger player.
That's going to be really good, I think, when they participate in that way. I remember the first time that I was ever involved in patenting something. We spoke to a lawyer, and first thing he did was tell me a really good joke, but I can't repeat that here. The second thing that he said was, MP, you've got to remember you cannot protect yourself rich. You've got to earn yourself rich, and that's stuck with me. There is a lot to be said, of course, for proprietary and confidential information, and in the world of R&D and competition and so on, that is obvious. But there's also a lot to say when it comes to participating in the public domain and showing what you've got. And eventually each of these OEMs do have a unique value proposition. They aren't just all the same. And so they should be able to push a unique value proposition and then compete where others maybe have similar kinds of value propositions. But back to your game. All right, so you get this canvas that you can play on, and you create your mining layout. And can you then uh, generate different scenarios and test different options? And is that the way that you generically see how the mine works, by kind of iteratively trying and testing and seeing what happens?
Um, when you play a game, the idea is not to take a rollback and change one small thing. The decision that you've made, that's permanently. That's in the game. You play it.
Okay.
Your next playthrough, if you start working on a different route, then you would have learned something from your previous playthrough.
Hmm.
So that means you can apply that new learnings, and that's how learning works. We are not we are not creating an optimization engine here. We are not creating
Okay.
a simulation engine for you to trial and error. It is
Hmm.
your trial and error is through playing a game, through learning through every single playthrough.
Now, most games you play not only against yourself but against others. So how does this work? I assume there's such a part of the game as well.
Yes. Um, we can generate millions of randomized worlds. We are not
Uh-huh.
limited by the amount of worlds that we can generate, but we do have the capability of providing the same created world to different players. So I can have a player on one university working on exactly the same operation type, look, feel than another university, and then let them compete against each other and see which one's more successful. We can decide, okay, well, this one is mined an X amount of tons using less
Mm,
capex or reduced opex. We are actually in discussion with a mining operation where they want to have their internal teams compete against each other in
mm,
this game.
mm,
To have the engineering team and the geology team and the plant team and the operator team play the game, and let's see who's the most successful at it.
mm, mm,
That's the competitive element that I think is quite critical, and that's the
mm,
change management. When you talk about implementing new technology in a mining operation, for example, is change management is a big talking point. Is that, look, you don't want to roll out a game and no one plays it. One
yeah.
of the things that you can do is obviously competitions is a quick and dirty way to get player interaction. But what happens after the competition is done?
Mm,
What happens? Are they still want to play it? We want to make sure we get them into a platform like this. Um, and then instead of switching on YouTube when they've got 5 minutes spare and looking at shorts, let them rather have this game and play it and learn something that way and have spend 30 minutes, have a quick playthrough. It's that constant thinking about changing what is possible in terms of playing a game while you're learning about your own operation, which is the new thinking here.
mm. And have you thought of, talking about your own operation, have you thought of simulating current operations? If I think of the kind of, Gran Turismo kind of car playing games, they certainly simulate certain circuits and so on. So is that something that you've considered?
We are currently working with a large mining uranium company where they want us to simulate their operation for them. So
Hmm.
we can do this in two ways. We can do it exactly the way that their operation looks like, give them all the assets, or we can give them the tools to recreate it.
Oh, of course.
If
Hmm.
we provide them with the tools, like you're using a certain crushing, or you've got a plant that's got certain flotation, we can build those items in game as infrastructure to select. So you construct your mine the way that you want to.
Hmm.
We don't want to replicate, because I can if I start replicating a mine, then I'm going into what other software packages already do
Hmm. Hmm.
in terms
Of
of
course.
So I don't want to get that point. I want the players to, if they've got a look and feel of what their understanding is of what the mine, they build it
Mm,
in the game. Someone can
mm,
go back and tell them, look, this is not exactly what our mine looks like. This is what it is. But giving the capability of doing that is more important for
mm.
me at this stage.
Right. So you've talked about two kind of audiences here. Let's call it the university or other learning institutions, and then the actual mines themselves and their teams. Have you found traction in both industries?
Yes. We have signed a memorandum of understanding with various global universities where they are providing us students to test the platform, provide feedback, and we've had success in mining companies to gamify their operations. So yes, so both has been very successful, and both with different requirements. On the academia level is what can we learn from this?
Right.
Also, how can we attract the next generation of students?
Mm, of course.
If a university is starting to delve into using gamification, it just makes the message about that we are thinking a little bit different, a little bit clearer.
Mm,
And then from a mining perspective, mining companies, how can we teach our own employees about the operation? So there are
mm.
two different outcomes that's measured.
Right. And of course, it also provides a way for different universities and so on around the world to, I almost want to say, have a standardized tool that they can deploy, so that when people come out of university, they all have at least that level of understanding. And it's easy enough that you don't only have to give it to the mining engineers and the geologists to play with, but with, it could be a broader audience, I guess. Um, so, Paul, when did you start this endeavor, and when's the first version going to be available, or is it available, and so on?
Started dreaming about writing this about a year ago. In the
Hmm.
middle of the night, 2 o'clock, while I was teaching myself a couple of things. I write a couple of small mini games. Like I used to play Minesweeper a lot, which is
Mm,
an old PC game. So I developed a small game called Ore Sweeper, where it's a similar thing, but you've got to go and look for ore, and I give you drilling tools, and then
right.
expanded on building a proof of concept of what a mining game could look like. The company DMS was established January this year, so we're only about 7 months.
Hmm.
We released our first proof of concept in March to Zimbabwe
Oh,
School
well.
of Mines in Zimbabwe, which
Hmm.
they are now testing us. They provided us with 200 users that's constantly testing it. And we released our first mobile version this month. So that means anyone with a cell phone can play our game. It is currently
Hmm.
available. We've got a pilot testing program for all universities free of charge for this year. So if you want to jump and get on board and test it, this year is our pilot program. It is it is about testing the theory of gamification in the education
Mm.
systems this year, and then obviously our first mining client we're currently working on. So it's been an interesting 7 months.
Yes, I can just imagine. And congratulations. I think anyone that has the guts to step out and try something new already deserves some accolades. But certainly, what you're setting out to do can have a big impact on the industry, as well as on the way that even current companies function, and how they are able to do so with, I'm sure, less friction and much more efficiency. Paul,
Yeah.
so where do we go? Where do people who are interested go? Do you have a website? Do they find you on the Play Store or on the App Store? Where do they find you?
Um, well, first of all, I'm very busy on LinkedIn. So personally, you can find me on LinkedIn, Paul Ehlers. I post almost every single day. I'm quite
Hmm.
active on there. From DMS point of view, we've got a website, dmsminingstudios.com. All the information is on there.
Right?
The game itself is not published on Play Store or iOS or Steam or any of those channels.
Hmm.
We want to control access at this stage, at this early stage.
Okay.
So it is through contacting us on the website, contacting our support, getting in touch with us on our support at dmsminingstudios.com. We will provide you access because we want to control the access at this stage, control the feedback as it is very early stages.
Right. Okay, that's excellent. So talking about the control then, um, people will contact you on the website and you are able to give them access, to either on a commercial base or to test things out. And when we spoke earlier, you said that you'd be happy for people who listen to the podcast to log in, or rather to contact you through the website, and then you'd be willing to give them some free access to try it out for themselves.
Anyone that is listening to this, contact me, and you will have access to our mobile version anytime.
That sounds fantastic. Okay, Paul, let's bring this to a close. I always talk about the personal side again when I get to the end of the podcast. So let's talk about that as well. You live. uh, a mutual friend of ours said, "Where you live, you can just reach out and touch heaven." So you live in Namibia, and they're close to the desert, or right smack dab in the desert, I should say. What do you do for fun? What do you do for relaxation? And what do you do when you're not gaming or working on games?
When I'm not gaming or working on games, I'm gaming. No, I'm lucky in the sense I've got a family which enjoys gaming. So I spent a lot of time playing games with my kids or my wife. We do that as a family. We enjoy that. My daughter is developing her own game, so she would sit
Hmm,
for in evenings, and I would help her out and teach her how to code and fix some of her errors, which invariably happens. She wants to have by 16 publish her first game. So
hmm. That
if I
sounds very
don't do
good.
that, if
And just hold on. Soon enough, she'll be helping you fix your problems.
exactly. Now, if I have to, if my passion has always been golf. So my touching grass is going out with my son and playing golf. I try to get out at least once a week. On Thursdays, generally, is my getting onto the driving range, and on Sunday morning, I will go and play my 9 or 18 holes of golf. I love golf, and I play darts as well.
Ah, all right. Well, that might help you with some accuracy. Paul, thank you so much. It was really great talking to you, and all the best with the new venture. Um, I, for one, think it's a great idea, and I really wish you every success, and invite everyone who listens to this to talk about this also to their own, environments, and may it be that very soon everyone will have a really good way to learn what miners do.
Thank you very much, MP. Yeah, and thanks for your time. Thanks for the Mind podcast as well. I think having a way to spread the message like this is absolutely great and needed as well. So thank you very much for having me.